What's poppin', my Freeform Renegades? You are tuned into the Freeform Network. Thanks for joining us for another fun episode of Freeform Radio. I'm your host, Noel, with my co host, Daniel.
Yes, sir. Chilling over here. A little tired today, man. Even though I didn't really do much yesterday, but hey, man, we're gonna make this thing happen. Beautiful day outside, so let's get this podcast going, man.
Definitely. And Andy.
It's all good, Andy. I'm here, and I am tech savvy and etiquette. So if you got any
Nice.
questions, hit me up, man. But I'm right here, ready to get this podcast rolling.
Definitely. Well, it's another nice day here in Chicago. It's actually nice and cool today for a July day. But wherever you listeners are, we hope you're sitting cool, feeling good. And let's just jump right into it. So, Andy, looks here like you've been into this WWE scandals. It seems like there's always something going on there, man. What's going on with WWE today?
So currently, I know it's been going on for like months. Vince McMahon got caught up on some. He was having an affair.
Oh,
And
snap.
but the problem was that he had an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, with this woman, and she. Say what you will, but it's looking bad for him. So he paid her something like $3 million plus.
Before
Yeah,
the sexual innuendo
no.
or
So
after?
after the innuendo, so when they hired her, this story's starting to like things are starting to come out. So apparently they lived like in the same building. They got friendly. He gave her a job as like a paralegal, and apparently it came out that from what I read and heard, that she supposedly had a law degree from a college. She didn't, and then they gave her a raise, like more money. And then I think when McMahon, allegedly Vince McMahon, when he was done with her, he gave her to Johnny Laurinaitis, or AKA Johnny Ace, former wrestler. He's an executive, like of personnel. He's the one that does the hire and fire. And then he started having relations with her. And then it all came to light. They settled out of court non-disclosure agreement, paid her some money, and away it went. And it kind of leaked out. Somebody was emailing the WWE board of directors. They started searching. And I'm like, when I heard this, is like, ooh, like this is gonna be rough. I bet you there's gonna be all sorts of shit coming out. And so that was like the first one. They made him not resign, but he excused himself from CEO. They put in his daughter Stephanie, and he's like, I'm in charge only on the wrestling side of like creative. And like that week, he appeared on TV to get like a ratings boost. And people are like, there's Vince McMahon saying, ain't nobody gonna get rid of fucking me. And then on SmackDown and Raw, and then he fucking more stuff came out the woodwork on Friday or Thursday. The Wall Street Journal released more. And then now it includes former WWE talent, uh, contract workers, and it's just like a mess. And they really haven't said much. They haven't acknowledged. They kind of acknowledged it, but they're like, it is what it is. And so now Vince McMahon's, not that his future is in doubt as CEO, but how he's going to get through this. And a lot of people in today's current political climate, and everything was consensual from what I understood for the affair, and then sent one of them. He sent pictures. The other one, he was getting blowjobs, or he got one blowjob or something, and then she didn't want to continue. This is the WWE like performer of talent, the woman, and she got like demoted, and they didn't renew her contract. And then she came back, and then like she brought a lawyer, and they paid her like $8 million or something. And so yeah, it's not looking good. I don't know how long, if he's gonna ever be CEO again. To me, I don't think it's gonna happen, because, or there's even people saying that he might take the WWE, go making it back private, so he don't have to deal with all the stock, the shareholders. And I mean, I know there's a lot to take in there. If you haven't really, you don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's a mess. Corporate wise, it's not a good thing. You got, shareholders, and also you got your sponsors, which, uh, you know, it, the sponsors might pull out and not stop giving you money. And then this week is when the week of this recording, they're dropping the PG, and they're going up to PG 14. So the
Whoa.
last time they were like that, it was like very risque, swear words, hot lesbian action. You remember all that shit then, and then the puppies and blood. So they're like, what does that mean? Or maybe they're like looking at their demo and they're like, this kid's shit ain't working for us because the ratings. I mean, they're down all across the board. But I mean, whose ratings is it down? So they're like, what is that? What are they gonna do?
Wow. I had no idea about the upping in the ratings as far as what they can do, PG, rated R, and all that good stuff. But wow, man,
So yeah,
that
the ratings have dropped. I mean, everybody on regular cable TV's ratings are in. I mean, it's down. Even for like college football, NFL, everything's down. So this week they announced that they're going away from PG and making it TV 14. So what does that mean? That's more cursing. I mean, what's allowed on TV, on network TV, and like just more blood. So who knows what if their change of creative, how much of it's gonna change.
Well, I hope it does, man. It's when I was growing up, I loved wrestling. And you guys are to thank for that because you guys watched it too, and you guys got me into it. But somewhere along the way, in like the mid 2000s, I want to say like 2005 and on, they just changed it to the point where it was like no coming back. It was, I guess, like you said, PG, and it felt like it felt very childish, like stupid jokes, corniness, cringe humor, and cringe. What is it called? Like storylines and things that just weren't interesting compared to when I grew up. I was watching Hell in the Cell matches, fucking TLC, the Hardy Boys. This is a little bit later, obviously, from the 80s and 90s, but they just fell off.
right. To me, I would think they're going to be worried about are they going to be able to get sponsors? Because I know that's a big part of it is whether these companies will continue to invest in WWE, especially if Vince is trying to sell it. Usually that's like all up like a big package. Like, yeah, we got money coming in from XYZ. We got all these sponsors. So if they go up in the ratings, are any sponsors going to drop them?
So yeah, that's the thing. Well, right now the WWE gets just like a ton of guaranteed money with the deals they currently signed with the WWE Network, are going to Peacock. They get $250 million a year, no matter if anybody's watching it. So they got a 5-year deal. It's $1 billion. They have the guaranteed money from Saudi Arabia when they were touring before the pandemic. They struck a deal with that. They're getting like 20 million a show, 30 million or something like that. They Fox TV with SmackDown. I think they got like $1 billion for that, and the rights for USA Network, the Raw brand, that's coming up soon. I think in 2 years, and so they got a lot of money, TV money coming in. The problem is if people ain't watching that it's a TV show. I mean, wrestling how we is kind of when we were growing up, Danny, we were older. You had to go to live events and all that. That's kind of slow. I mean, that's not their main revenue generating money. That it's all the TV money. And so with Raw coming up there, who might bid on that and how much money they can get? I'm anticipating. I mean, they're gonna get over $1 billion. SmackDown got $1 billion to go to Fox, and I was shocked when that happened. So, with Raw, who knows how much they're trying to get, but with these scandals, that's hurting their bottom line. And a lot of it, people might be like, "Well, we don't want Vince running it," but there's also this thing where they know Vince McMahon he's running the day to day, and maybe some people won't feel comfortable with him if he's not leading the creative side of the promotion side of the wrestling. They may not be comfortable committing that much money, because who knows? That's the only way that everybody's ever known. Vince McMahon runs that company. If he's not running it, how's it gonna work?
Right. I know there was a time that Triple H was taking a big step forward as far as running creative and running a lot of the business, but for whatever reason, he's taken like a step back. I don't know if it's because of that heart attack or that heart condition he was dealing with. And, you know, I've heard stuff about people saying Vince has kind of lost it a little bit as far as what is good and what is not. So maybe it'll be refreshing and people will kind of gravitate to it again.
Yeah, I mean, like granted, like Noel says, like going to TV 14. I mean, that's. I mean, I don't want to say it's big. It's somewhat important. It's from like when we were growing up, like you were the last show you're talking about Rocky Maivia, right? You were talking about the Rock, the young Rock, and think about that character when he first came out, Rocky Maivia. He's all smiling and shit, and people were like, "Man, fuck this guy." And then when he turned into the Rock in the Attitude Era TV 14, and like he changed with the way he talked, the way he acted, um, down to like talking about like what he's gonna do to women. You remember all that? Like it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And then like
Puppies
yeah,
and
and
yeah.
like the Rock Strudel or something. Remember that? Some
Right.
promo he was doing to one of the announcers. So yeah, I mean it's the way WWE is going. I don't know if they're gonna do that complete 180 because they do make a lot of money. The merchandise, I mean, a perfect podcast. When's the last time you walked down the street, been somewhere, or like a bar or anything? Who's wearing a wrestling shirt? Like back in the day, everybody had wrestling shirts when it was at its peak. Now, and like you won't see one. That tells you that it's like in popular culture, they're not where they used to be.
Right, right, for sure, man.
It's the
So
demographic they're going after. They're going after kids, and
yes,
I mean, I haven't been in school, at least not in elementary school, in so long. It's like I don't even know if that's even a thing for elementary school kids. But growing up, yeah, you're right. Everybody had a DX shirt, and they had Triple H shirts and stuff like that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the way Uh, I don't know if going to PG, it kind of started with John Cena. After Attitude was aggression and all this bullshit. Kind of clamped down with his bright color shirts and the all that crap. And even today, I mean, I don't watch Raw no more. I just know what I hear from. I still listen to some podcasts from people, but basically it's just people shitting on it. But I just know Roman Reigns, Usos, Seth Rollins, and then once they wheel out Brock Lesnar, I'm like, it kind of piques my interest. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know on the middle card or undercard or anything. Like NXT, I watched it for a little bit, but I don't watch WWE wrestling. If I do watch anything, it's I got Peacock because I got Xfinity Internet. They threw it in the Peacock, so I don't pay for it no more. I used to pay for the network. It's in there now, and I go through it, and I'll just watch stuff from the late '90s, or early 2000s, and once in a while, I like when they release the Coliseum videos. There's a section on there for Coliseum videos. I don't know when's the last time you've been on the network, and I'll start watching those because I remember renting those VHS tapes at Action Video where I grew up. I mean, but that's about it. I mean, like I don't watch like highlights of new wrestling, like, oh, what happened in Raw. Like I watch Raw religiously. Fuck, it seems like for 15, 20 years, man. And now since I got rid of cable, it's part on Hulu. They got like a recap show. It's like an hour and a half. I don't watch that. I'm just like, eh.
Wow. So what you're telling me is that you're not the resident expert anymore. You're just an observer like the rest of us?
No, I'm still the expert, but
Oh,
like
okay,
I
okay, okay.
said, did you recognize any of those names I just dropped?
Hey, let me ask you something, man. Is the new rating for the TV? Are they gonna let Booker T drop the N word again? Like he
Nah,
used to
man.
at
Nah.
WCW, or it's not that? It's not
Maybe
that
I don't know.
That Hulk Hogan promo.
right.
Yeah,
Oh man, that
it's
was classic.
it's even like yeah. I mean, it's just like it's gonna be interesting where they go with that, and like, but I don't think it's gonna be like that. Like we're like, you son of a bitch. I think they're just gonna use son of a bitch a lot.
Brass
and
nooks.
damn it, and god damn it, and like stuff like that. And then
Maybe like
like
ass. They used to say candy
yeah,
ass all the
yeah.
time, shit like that.
Or genetic. Vince used to call himself the genetic jackhammer or some shit. Or testicles, or what did he say? Fortitude or some bullshit.
Testicular fortitude.
Yeah, there you go. Testicular fortitude and shit. So, but even with AEW, they have a lot of the wrestlers that I did watch before I started like falling off. But even them, I'm like, like Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, John Moxley. It doesn't get me to watch that show, and I'm just like, eh. And then like CM Punk, I really liked him, and then he left and he started talking shit. He had a bad experience.
And he
He's
got beat up
entitled to that.
twice.
Yeah, but now I'm just like, yeah, when he came to Chicago, people went crazy, and I'm just like, hey man, people like him, but to me, I'm just like, remember he said we were like dumb or something like in this interview, like I don't recall the exact words, but he was shitting on wrestling fans. He's like, I'm never going back, fuck them, and that kind of really like pissed me off. Not pissed me off, I was just like, eh. And like if he comes back, I wasn't like, like I gotta watch this.
For sure.
So
Yeah, they didn't really do a good job like building up the new generation. Because when you guys watched it in the '80s, and some of the new generation started taking over in the '90s, like Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, all of them, Kurt Angle. They start Undertaker and Kane and all those names. They were taking over for the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Sting, Ric Flair. You know what I mean? So you knew the old people and you knew the new people, and they made them likable. It was like a nice transition. But I
yeah,
want to say after that, it's like the new transition, like the people you're mentioning, like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, those kind of guys. It's like they didn't really get the push. I guess they could have, or they didn't build them up in the right way. Because, yeah, like you said, man, I don't really know a lot of these new guys.
so that's the thing. So like when we were coming up to like Attitude, even after Aggression, which is like John Cena, there was John Cena and everybody else, but they had like superstars, right? Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, down to Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, and then it turned into Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I mean, I don't really consider him a superstar, but whatever. It's the and then it turned into like, man, we're not John Cena, right? And then like Kurt Angle, and it turned into like these guys are like good, but they're not superstars, and so they started pushing the WWE brand, and then so now you have WWE. People watch like when they think of wrestling, they think of WWE. But now it's turning into like, there's no superstars, and he's trying to push Roman Reigns, and he's somewhat like a superstar, but I don't think outside of wrestling, nobody really knows who he is, or like he's not crossover, and that's what they're pushing, and it's just like it's not working. Like hell, I think UFC fighters are more known than WWE wrestlers. Like you don't have a McGregor, or even after McGregor. I know he's kind of old now, but there's nobody after that. And like right now, you're watching and you're just like, this is it. Like it's not, the storylines ain't good or anything like that. So I don't know. That's not
Yeah.
what you guys think. Have you watched wrestling? What do you guys think of the current crop, or what do you think of the WWE scandals? If WWE is gonna survive, or is Vince McMahon gonna survive? So. But let's go see over to Danie. It looks like he was gonna throw this badass party, but some bullshit happened, like it always does, Danie. I don't know if it's family drama or something else, but what exactly happened, man?
Yeah, I just had my housewarming. I've lived here. It's coming up to a year now, but we moved in during the fall, and winter hit us pretty quick after that, where it got cold. And since my house is kind of small, it's kind of difficult to host everybody inside. So we had to wait until the weather got better. And but anyways, long story short, we had our housewarming here, and man, we were planning to have fried chicken from either KFC or Jules. Alana was gonna make this pasta with vodka sauce that we had eaten like a week or two before that at a wedding. So we're like, oh, this is really awesome. This is what we should have. And then we're gonna have like two types of salads. We're gonna have like a regular lettuce salad, and then like kind of like a cold pasta salad. So at least that was the game plan for the housewarming. Everything was cool. We bought all the ingredients. We had everything ready. the day of the house, well, actually the day before the housewarming party, that Saturday, because the housewarming was on Sunday. Our stove, dude, I went to go heat up menudo in the morning, and the stove top wouldn't heat up, man. I was trying to heat up some Juanitas there, and the stove wouldn't get warm like the electric burners, because we got a glass top electric burner stove. It wouldn't heat up, so I pulled the range unit back a little bit off of the wall, and it started working. So I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe something inside of it got jostled or stuck, some sensors, something, and it started working again. So I ate breakfast, everything was cool. I went to later on that day go heat up some lunch, and it was the same thing. Boom, it wasn't working. So we called the tech out because we got a warranty for a year when we bought the house. The guy came out and he's just like, "Yeah, I can't fix this thing. The only thing I could do is deem it unrepairable and give you the company will give you a check, and then you're gonna have to buy a new one." So yeah, needless to say, we just got the new stove actually yesterday installed, and it's working like a champ. But yeah, the housewarming party had to get changed slightly. We had to buy everything basically. We had to buy a bunch of cold stuff, so like sandwiches, cold pasta, potato salad. We still had the chicken from Jules, but that was about the only warm thing that we bought. Everything, or the pizza for the kids, but everything else was cold.
So let me ask you this: you guys, this Perth Mayors, you had vodka, pasta or spaghetti, whatever, at someone's wedding. Have you never had vodka, spaghetti or pasta ever before to the wedding?
I want to say that I've had it before, but since it was recent, like the wedding for my cousin was 2-3 weeks ago. It was recent, like, oh my God, this is good. I forgot how good this stuff is. This is what we should have, because we were just gonna have regular, throw some tomato sauce, pasta, blah blah blah, like the regular stuff that you get from the store. But we're like, hey man, let's class it up a little bit. Let's put some of this vodka sauce in, and man, it might be better, and maybe people enjoy it better. But yeah,
the reason I say is because that vodka sauce pasta thing, to me, I feel like it's an acquired taste.
Really?
A handful of people like it, and I've had it before, but I'm not like, yeah, this is great, and like, it's not my top. Like, that's like, I'm gonna go out of my way. So that's why I'm asking, and I always feel like people who eat it or prefer it it's like a taste that only like a handful of people like.
Have you had it, Noel? Do you like it?
I love it, man. But right? I can agree with you, Andy. There, it's got a unique acquired taste, but it's like in that middle ground. Because there's like, let's say you're having cheese, you like cheddar cheese. Then there's queso fresco. Some people might not like queso fresco, but some might. But like that blue cheese, that really stinky garbage blue cheese, that's a handful of people that like that.
That's good shit, man.
You see, yeah. So it's to each their own, I guess, man.
Yeah, I don't like
blue sophisticated cheese, man.
Right. But yeah, maybe you're right, man. To me, I saw it as like a step above. Like, all right, Daniel ain't dishing out like the generic, tomato sauce jar from ragu or whatever. He's like stepping it up a little bit and getting into something a little more acquired.
Exactly. But it's different. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've seen it and I've had it, but I'm never just like, yeah, oh shit, they got vodka sauce pasta. Like, yeah, let's get this shit. Like, nah, I'm just like, nah, I'm gonna stick with the marinara or some cheese shit, something, or meat sauce or whatever the fuck they call it. I mean, it's never like I want some vodka pasta sauce shit.
Right. I mean, granted, I don't think many people noticed the change in the menu, and everybody seemed to have a good time. And we hung out at the crib for an hour or so, and everybody ate. But yeah, man, we had to scramble last minute and kind of pivot to get something to eat so that people could eat. But yeah, that's how the housewarming party went. Otherwise, everything else went fine with it. We were going to have actually 2 parties, one on Saturday for my mother-in-law's side, and then one on Sunday for my side of the family. But on my mother-in-law's side, somebody ended up coming down with COVID, so we ended up canceling the whole thing and rescheduling. which we'll see how Housewarming Party 2 goes on whenever that happens. But just some quick other things that I've been up to, Andy. I've seen it before, but it was the first time I watched it with Alana. I watched the Sheik documentary. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but
The Iron
man,
Sheik one.
yeah, the Iron Sheik one. Man,
It's kind of sad
really,
in the beginning, right?
it's really sad at first, but luckily towards the end it pops and it has a lot of funny moments. But it's sad to see his life, how it went, and it really resonates with me because I've gone to conventions and stuff like that and seen some of these older wrestlers and where they're in wheelchairs and they're really bad shape, man. And that's what the movie kind of really emphasized, the start at least, about how Iron Sheik was in a really bad place at the start of the documentary and really turned it around by the end. But yeah,
Real quick, you know where I really got bummed out, and I was like, this is fucking depressing, and like I was like, damn, this is bad. Like when he went to the pizza place or the Chuck E. Cheese or whatever the fuck, and he's there with the belt,
right.
and he's
Just
just handing out autographs, and I'm just like, dude, to me that's like, I think you're always already having substance issues around that time, and he's like, I'm gonna go here and just sit down and hand out autographs, and I'm just like, damn, like that's to me was like, oof, like this is fucking rough. Like I was just like, who knows qué tiene or what's wrong with him, because that to me like just like he wants some fucking attention. Like I used to be somebody, now I'm still somebody watching. Like fucking kids were probably like, who is this guy? And he's like, I have a wrestling belt.
That's how I feel about Virgil, man. Every time I see him at a comic.
right. When what's the story with you, Andy? When you went to go to Virgil's table, and you're like, "Yeah, let me get a picture of you with somebody else, not just the
Yeah,
one."
so I was there. I saw him in the old Wizard World. I think it's changed his name like 3 times since, but he was there. And I'm like, yeah, brother, like, yeah, how much? And he's like, yeah, 20, brother. And my sister Lily was there with me, and she's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, man, he wrestler. See, he's right here. I want this picture with you and Hogan. She like knew Hulk Hogan, and then he signs it, and then he's like, oh, let me give one to you, honey. And my sister's like, okay. But in her eyes, she's like, I don't want this shit. And then she's like, what's your name? And he's like, Lily. What? Lily. She goes, Li, Li. Oh, yeah, yeah. Here. And she signs it, and she just like, she sees like the wrestling. It's a black and white when he was in WWE. So it's him and like one is like a split 8x10 where one side has him as WWF and one in WCW.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
just like, she's like, here. I still got it. She's just like, I don't want this shit. But she had no idea who the fuck he was. And I was just like, yeah. And like, there wasn't a lot of people around them either. Like, I felt not bad, but I'm just like, oh, it's somebody I remember. Maybe he's cheap or something. But like, yeah, there wasn't a lot of people around them. And it said like Virgil, wrestling superstar, that banner.
Right. Yeah, there's some old ones that I've seen, like Greg Hammer Valentine. I've seen him kind of wheel himself out there. And man, these guys, they gave their body to wrestling, and it's sad to see them now in an older age and dealing with that. And the movie or the documentary goes into that. So if you're interested in stuff like that, old school wrestling, this one especially has a positive message, kind of like the Jake the Snake documentary. But it's sad to see them in this state and see them struggling for sure.
I remember there's like a little like a cartoon bit where him and Hacksaw got busted with weed,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of like his downfall, or he got released from WWF, and then they show him wrestling in parking lots. But he like that story that happened with his daughter, right? Cheeks, right? I remember correctly, she got kidnapped and murdered or something, or
Right.
she died, and then Hacksaw, he went through some shit too. And if I remember correctly, I heard on a podcast he had an accident, like, and his girlfriend or his wife at the time like died, and it was like, man, like all this like fucking death, man, around wrestling. Sometimes you like it's fucked up. Like also with like Jake the Snake's one of his daughters got kidnapped and killed, and I'm just like, you know, this is fucked up. like there's a lot of death in wrestling, man, and sometimes I don't like to think about it, but when you hear people when they do podcasts and interviews or shoot interviews, they talk about that, and you're like, man, this is fucked up.
Yeah, it is sad for sure, man, to see a lot of. I think a lot of it too is that they're in the public light, so you get to hear a lot of this stuff that happens to them. But the majority of them have normal lives, or as normal as a celebrity can be. But yeah, the documentary was a well done one, especially with the happy, uplifting ending.
Yeah, where he's
Uh,
just cursing everybody out through Twitter.
right,
Make
like
you humble.
he got in that wave of the start of YouTube and the start of Twitter being popular, and really wrote it. I don't really see much of him today. I mean, obviously the documentary is a little older, but
Yeah, he just shits on Hogan a lot on Twitter.
yeah.
And
So
then I always post a gift of Hogan pinning him, but he's never replied to my shit.
uh, but yeah, Sheik, he was always he wasn't a favorite of mine, but I appreciated him being such a good bad guy. So never mind watching an old Sheik versus Hogan match. Those were always pretty good. Something else really quick, man. I watched Sonic 2. I don't know if any of you guys even saw part one of it, but I watched
Why?
Sonic 2, the movie.
Why then?
Well, I have a son that's into movies, video games, and stuff like that. So it's not just Iron Sheik and 80s wrestling there, Andy, whether you like to believe that or
Well,
not.
if you want to have him watch comic or video game movies, make him watch like the Double Dragon movie from the 80s or the Mario Brothers movie from
Oh
the
man,
80s.
it's even worse. But yeah, we watched
Street
Sonic
Fighter.
2, and it was okay. It was okay. I think it really went over the top campy, and where I thought the first one was actually half decent, where after I watched the first one, I was pretty content and happy with it. I was just like, this isn't bad. This is a decent like 7 or 8 out of 10 kind of movie. This one is definitely a lot more campy, a lot more over the top. Everything is bigger, and the plot is really nonsensical stuff. So I didn't really appreciate it as much, even though Jim Carrey was funny in it again, even though he's kind of weird in his own way. But I thought the movie was okay, but not as good as the first one. Have you guys seen either one or two?
Yeah, I saw both. Saw two recently, actually, probably like a month ago or something like that. And yeah, you calling it right, dude. I would give the first one a higher score, maybe like a 7.5, and the second one maybe like a 6.5.
Right, right. Hey, you, Andy?
I haven't seen neither of them, but I do see on Twitter there was some controversy like with his shoes or his teeth on the first one or something, and then the
Yeah.
second one, Jim Carrey there's some controversy around Jim Carrey with the character he played. I don't know. That's all I know of it.
Yeah, the first one, they kind of did something weird with Sonic for the first movie. For people that don't know, at least as far as the animation, they kind of made him look more real, where his fur looked a little more real. He had actual real teeth, and in the CG stuff, and it looked off. It looked off. So they actually went back and invested another, like, I forget how much it was, $1 billion to fix this, to fix the mistake and redo all his CG, or at least like the face and some of the other minor stuff, like the shoes and whatnot. But yeah, man, they went back and redid it, and I gotta say it was well worth it because they stayed more uh, to the source material of the video games and made it look like that.
Just real quick, Disney Plus made a movie, Chip and Dale's like New
Oh, right.
Adventure. They make fun of the Sonic movie, and they make fun of like CGI cartoons or something. And like, I want to see that movie because I heard it. They make fun of a lot of the old Disney movies and some current or older cartoons and stuff. And it was I saw some clips on YouTube, like makes me want to see that movie, so I kind of stopped watching clips. But one of the issues they brought up was there's a Sonic-like character at doing conventions, and he's talking about how awesome his teeth look, and the joke is like your teeth look they don't look real or something. It was just fucking weird, but I want to see that though.
Yeah, okay movie. Nothing to write home about. So if you're a Sonic fan, I guess go watch it. Otherwise, I think it's a good movie to pass. But Noel, let's jump into you, man. What are you up to? I see you watch Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I actually really want to watch this, but I'm kind of worried that I need to watch WandaVision before I see this. But let us know your thoughts, man.
Yeah, just really quick on this one. I didn't really enjoy it, man. You go into a movie that has the title Doctor Strange, you're imagining, well, it's gonna be Doctor Strange kicking ass and taking names, and nah, it's more like the reverse. It kind of props up, like you were saying, you think you should watch WandaVision. I think that would be a good idea, just so you understand it a little better. Not that you'll really be lost or anything. I wasn't lost. I didn't watch WandaVision, so I had no idea what to expect with her in it. But you don't really get lost as much. You just kind of you're not going to be completely in depth caught up to the level that if you watch the show. I think it's like 6 or 8 episodes, and I don't personally know all the details about the show, but essentially she has this like fantasy within that show that is shattered, and she becomes emotionally like without help or without solution to the point where she wants to risk destroying everything that exists so that she can have the life that she wants. And she essentially becomes a villain in the movie. Um, and that's not really a spoiler. Everybody saw that coming a mile away. And so Doctor Strange, without giving out any spoilers, he's kind of the background character I saw him as. Um, he kind of looks like a fool. He makes mistakes. His dialogue is pretty poor, pretty cheesy. Um, and then there's another girl in it called America Chavez, and she's supposedly really powerful, and she's just it's kind of like it was kind of more of a comedic film than a serious one. And the first Doctor Strange was more of a serious movie, and I really liked it. Like I liked it for that reason. But it seems like Disney is going this different direction with their newer movies, Phase 4, where they're trying to be more funny. They're trying to make it more comedy rather than action, like drama. Because if you watch Iron Man 1, you watch Captain America 1, you watch all the previous movies, I guess you could say. They were more serious. They had like this tone. It reminded me of the feeling that I got when I watched the first Matrix or the Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. Like it had this cinematic, like dark, deep
Like they
vibe.
took the content seriously. Like
Yeah,
they didn't want to. I mean, there's gonna be jokes, but like it didn't. Like you're just saying, like yeah, they're being funny.
yeah, and with Disney taking over like completely at this point, it's becoming more woke. So just be prepared for that when you watch it. I gotta give it like maybe a 6 out of 10. It's probably my lowest,
Whoa.
one of my lower rated Marvel movies. I was really disappointed, man. There was a lot of scenes that I was looking at. I was just like, why did they choose this way? Why did they put those words in that guy's mouth? Like, why did he have to say it this way and say it that way? And yeah, I don't even want to shit on it too much. Watch it at your own peril. It's 2 hours or a little over 2 hours, and it just yeah. I mean, it is what it is. He's one of my favorite characters, so it was kind of a bummer for me. But at least Spider-Man was good, or at least relatively good compared to that one. So,
Yeah, I
but
haven't watched any of those, man, and I'm like, I'm kind of
yeah.
like you, like like what am I like not that I just am in no rush to see them. I'm like kind of superheroed out
What was the last superhero movie you watched?
by Endgame.
Okay, yeah, it's a good time to stop.
The
So,
second I saw the first Spider-Man, and then the second one I never watched. Was it Homecoming or whatever? And then the third one, I really want to see it because they had the all three Spider-Mans, but I'm like, eh, like I'm not, like I said, I'm in no rush to see it.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. It'll be there when you're ready.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's Doctor Strange, man. About 6 out of 10. Another thing I wanted to bring up is there's this new comic book that I just purchased from a new writer. His name is Eric July. He has his podcast on YouTube. It's Ripa 59, I believe, or Young Ripa 59 is his comic YouTube channel. He came up with a comic book company. It's called the Ripaverse, and he has a character that he's coming out with. His name's Isom, and within the past, I want to say 3 4 days, he's made about over $2 million in revenue with his new book, and
Whoa.
he's libertarian and politically. Not that that's a big deal, but his channel has always been about comics, pop culture, stuff like that, the movies and all that, like superhero movies and stuff. He's a big on that, and gaming and all that stuff, pop culture. But with the woke era in full effect, full swing, he kind of was dropping off with the subscriptions to the comics. He stopped buying them, he stopped supporting them, and he saw the writing on the wall. He saw that Marvel and DC, they don't care about the fans that helped them become the giants they are now. They care about these new fans that are like fake, what is it called, fair weather
SJWs or
fair
Fairweather.
weather fans. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the people that join when the getting is good, but when it was like struggling and coming up, the OG fans, like like us three that win the Comic Cons and like the comic books, we're the ones that all of us are the ones that helped them become who they are, but they kind of lost their way. Now they're catering to the wrong kind of people. And so this guy's like, you know what, man, I'm done with this shit. Let me come up with an alternative. Parallel economy, he calls it. He's like, that's what we need. We need a parallel economy from all these liberal fuckheads. Not that liberals are bad. It's just that's how he puts it. Like that they're crackheads. He calls them. And so, and there are some that give you that idea. That way of thinking that yes, some of these people are just a little out there, man, especially when you get to the extreme left side. And so he's like, you know what, I'm done with all this. I'm gonna make my new thing. It's called the Ripaverse. And I bought the first book. It's like $35. You can still get it right now if you want. Cover A and B is out there. And so I'm wishing him luck, dude. It's giving me inspiration. I'm actually starting to write my own stuff, and I'm working on it with a few of my friends and my brother as well as an artist. And so yeah, we'll see how that goes. But for now, check out Ripaverse, Eric July, and let us know what you think.
But what's his like main character? What's his like? It's just like somebody with superhuman strength, or like the main character that he's pushing.
The main character he's pushing, I don't know too much about him at the moment.
Oh, okay.
It's still kind of like relatively new, so I haven't really been able to read anything yet. The books are going to be releasing in August. You could buy them now, but they're releasing in August.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now you said 25 for this book?
35.
35
Around there, yeah.
is
It's a 100-page book or something like that.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, man, did comic books jump from $3 to $35? I'm like, Jesus
It's like
Christ.
a trade
what the-
paperback or something.
Like, what the hell's going on? Okay, that makes more
Yeah.
sense.
And he got some really famous artists to do it. It's not like this is like janky. Like, yeah, I personally have never read any of his stuff, so he's a writer. I don't personally know his level of writing. I imagine he's a really good writer. He's read a lot of comics, so I imagine he has good ideas. But the artists that he got for them are actually really well known, like really reputable artists that have worked for the big two. And he's paying them more than they were making when they were working for Marvel and DC. So I know he's put in a good chunk of change on this project. And to see him come out with over $2 million in revenue in the first days, bro, it's been literally maybe about 4 days. It's just incredible. So I'm happy for him. It gives me motivation to start my own thing. I've always been a writer, since I can remember, and I have so many ideas from when I was growing up to even now. I'm still coming up with characters. So I think it's time, dude. I think it's time for this parallel economy.
Real quick, did you guys ever see the documentary that got released a couple years back on the Image Comics? Like, I think it's called the Image Comics Revolution. And they took all those people from they were like the big two, like always DC and Marvel, and like Jim Lee and Layfield and all them. How they left all those to form their own publishing companies, and then Image distributed, and how they like McFarlane with Spawn and all that. It's kind of dwells like what you're talking. It wasn't as much political, but more about control, and they made a ton of money. And then it talks about how it kind of like at the end, it kind of like split up. But you guys ever seen that documentary?
No, what's that one called?
The Image Revolution. I'll try to find you a trailer, but it kind of parallels to, like you said, this time more political stuff. So people are like, I'm gonna do my own shit because they have I don't want to say agenda, but they're pushing a narrative. But back then it was more like Image or DC and Marvel had their corporate way. Like, this is what we want. They didn't really let them explore any other subjects or anything. Like, this is what we want. And then they wanted to do more than just be great artists. They wanted to push stories farther. And Marvel and DC were like, nah, we're not having that. So that's why they left.
I got to watch that documentary. It sounds pretty interesting because it's definitely changed a lot, man. If you look at the current comics today, they're talking about safe spaces and pronouns and shit like that, and it's people, very political. It's very in your face, and it's just it's uninteresting. It's literally boring, man. It's not just what is it
like
called?
Superman. Like, we all know what Superman is, and then they're like, oh, he's dating a dude now and changing hair colors, or Spider-Man's Hispanic and he's gay, and like, well, like what's going on here? Like, we all knew, like you kind of said, these characters, we've read them forever. They've been around forever, and now they're just like, let's make them this, and it's not like a parallel universe or a multiverse or whatever. It's like, this is the, like, in canon or something. And I'm like, I don't know, like, I haven't read comics in a while, and like, but you see that those headlines pop up, and you're like thinking, like, what the hell is going on?
It's ridiculous, man. It's freaking crazy right now, the times we're going through. But you know what? We'll just have to find an alternative, and so that's why I bought this guy's book. Yeah, I don't buy a lot of books, man. Like, I have a few here, but I'm very selective with what I buy. But I really wanted to support him because I've seen his podcast for over a year. And he's a guy that's like on the grind, and he's a guy that has a good head on his shoulders. And he talks about a lot of things that we should be doing, decentralization in the country, stuff like that. And so, I'm supporting him, and I hope other people will as well. But one last thing I wanted to catch up, and actually it's funny that you mentioned Superman a little bit ago, because that's the last thing I wanted to catch you guys up on. I finished season 2 of Superman and Lois. And I have to say, dude, the show is still running great. And it's like such a refreshing, surprising turn of like twist of fate there, because CW is like really known right now for being more woke like than ever before. And I've watched so many shows on the CW, and a lot of them started off strong and then they really ended poorly. And this one, I thought, man, the first season was good, but maybe season 2, they're going to start putting in their woke agenda and start making people, change from their way of being, you know what I mean? Like, start making, changes. But no, everything stayed, relatively the same. Introduced new characters, and Superman is still in the forefront. Although there was a couple hiccups here, you gotta imagine Superman, if it's going to be entertaining, Superman has to fight some strong individuals. And so, he fights Bizarro in this season. It deals with the Bizarro world, and it's pretty interesting, dude. I have to recommend this one. I don't recommend a lot of CW stuff because, like I said, they're kind of falling off right now, and they just got sold to Discovery, and they've been canceling shows and shit. But one of the ones that I still watch and will continue to watch as long as they keep up with their high quality is Superman and Lois.
Nice, man. I'm a huge Superman fan, and I remember when this show first got announced, I was really excited about it. But to be honest, I didn't even see season 1. But just you talking about it, maybe I'll have to go see if I could find it so I could watch season 1, because it sounds like it's a good show.
100% agree, dude. I actually waited till season two ended because the way they did it, and this is another thing with CW that bothers me. When they have good shows, it's like they go out of their way to ruin the viewership. Like they find ways of doing it, and it's really weird. I think they're personally sabotaging their own channel, but I don't know. I can't prove that. But Superman and Lois went on hiatus. I want to say 4 to 5 times within this calendar year. They started the season, showed 2 episodes. They went off hiatus. They went on hiatus for like 2 weeks. Came back, showed another 2 episodes. Went on hiatus for a month. Came back, showed like 2 or 3 episodes, and went on hiatus for like a month and a half. And I'm like, dude, the viewership is gonna die if you keep doing that shit. But I'm like, you know what? I love the show. I'm gonna still watch it. I'm just gonna wait until the season ends and I'll watch the whole thing. And that's what I did, and I actually ended up liking that better because now I wasn't waiting every week for the next episode. I was watching it all in one go, like a binge, and it was like that much more entertaining. It was like
Right.
watching a long movie. It was great. I definitely recommend you watch season one, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna like it, dude. Especially because it deals with him being a dad. He has 2 kids that are in high school or teenagers, and one of them gets powers, and it's pretty cool, man. Seeing Superboy, it's pretty interesting.
Wait. Superman has 2 kids with Lois Lane,
Yeah, he has 2 kids. One name is John, and the other one is Jordan.
and are they married or no?
Yeah, they're married in this
Okay.
this show, and
Interesting.
he goes back to Smallville after it's not
Jesus,
really
spoilers, man.
well, I mean that it's literally in the first episode. Literally in the
Okay.
first episode, you're gonna see he goes back to Smallville, and he meets Lana Lang. They reunites, and they're all friends and everything. And he's trying to keep a secret, which is harder because now he's in this small town where you know what I mean. So it's hard to keep a secret, but especially with his son developing these powers. But it's so freaking cool to see. Like there's actually a lot of different storylines that each person has. Like they all have their own moment to shine, but Superman is still always the OG, always the spotlight, and that's the way it should be,
Right.
in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to catch you guys up on. And now we have a chance to go into our article of the week. Okay, so here we got an article from The Guardian. Uh, it is titled Disturbing Weed Killer Ingredient Tied to Cancer Found in 80% of U.S. urine samples. The CDC study finds glyphosate, a controversial ingredient found in weed killers, including popular Roundup brand, present in samples. So they got 80% of urine samples drawn from children and adults in the U.S., and they found that there was this chemical in pretty much all those samples um, that linked to pesticides and herbicides that are used in pretty much all farmland around the U.S. Unless you get organic food, you're probably going to be exposed to this, and so it's really alarming to these people because it seems like it might have a detrimental impact and increase cancer rates in the U.S. population. It gives out a bunch of different facts here from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. So there was 2,300 urine samples roughly intended to represent the U.S. population. 1,885 samples were laced with detectable traces of glyphosate. So it's an ingredient and that's found in Roundup, which is a very popular brand. So almost a third of the participants were children ranging from the ages of 6 to 18. And they're saying that these high levels of glyphosate have been in there for years. It looks like. Um, so yeah, really quickly, guys, what do you think about all this?
I've actually heard about this years ago, man. I don't know if it was like widely known or not, but like I do some gardening and I do use weed killers for like in between the stones and the sidewalks and stuff. And I remember when Junior was younger and he was out there and he wanted to help me, and I was kind of hesitant in having him help me spray, just thinking if he starts inhaling the stuff, is it gonna produce cancer? Because I've read stuff about it. And then now even not even just spraying it, but also if it rains in the water, grabs this, pesticide thing, is they're going to go into the crops, and then now the grass is contaminated. And now if I have it close to my garden, is my garden contaminated? Because the article does make mention that kids have the highest percentage of this glyma whatever. So it's something that they're eating in abundance that is giving them this, because I doubt all these kids are spraying this weed killer everywhere. So it must be the stuff that they're eating. So it's getting contaminated inside of our soil. So really alarming.
Yeah. It goes on to say here that there was an analysis that glyphosate exposure increases the risk of non-Hodgkin lymphoma. This is from a 2019 scientific paper. Um, and they also found that glyphosate that was found in human urine has been rising since the 1990s when Monsanto they introduced GMO crops, and they would be sprayed directly with Roundup, and this was done the research done back in 2017. It also says here that more than 200 million pounds of glyphosate are used annually by U.S. farmers on their fields. They're used on corn, soybeans, and even things like spinach and almonds. So it is definitely popular use of it, and I think with children especially because they're still growing and they're definitely a lot smaller in size compared to a human adult, they're going to be exposed to higher levels of it because their livers won't be able to remove the same amount that an adult probably would. And just because they're smaller, just like everything else hits a child stronger, alcohol, medication, all sorts of things will hit a child stronger than an adult. This works in that same way where this chemical will affect them stronger. And that is a risk as they continue to age, whether or not they'll develop these cancers down the line. And, it's really worrisome, especially I would say for the Mexican population, because this, like, things like corn are sprayed with this, and corn's already GMO, so it's already getting fucked with. So now you're putting weird genetics in corn, and then on top of that, putting these pesticides, and all this corn's not all of it, but a lot of corn is converted into tortillas that are sold across the country, like by the tons. Like it's every Mexican household that I know of will have tortillas and multiple dozens, and those dozens will go within a week. And so imagine how much of this chemical we're consuming, uh, especially because we're not buying organic generally. From what I grew up with, most people bought whatever was affordable, and unfortunately, organic's more expensive, and so a lot of households don't really have a lot of those options in there. But I think that's going to become something that needs to change if we want to avoid, just having to develop all these things that we don't want in our bodies.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When I was reading the article, I'm like all this shit because I've used Roundup before, and I'm just like all this from the fucking killing weeds and around your house. But then yeah, when the article goes into they use it for crop dusting and fields and all that. I'm like, oh, okay, so I didn't know that. And some of it, the article even says they spray it on before they even plant the food. I'm just like Jesus. So they use like a ton of it. Yeah. Many farmers also use it on fields before the growing season. So I'm just like, including spinach growers and almond producers. It's considered the most widely used herbicide in history. So I was just like, whoa, like I didn't know that. I thought I didn't. To me, like they wouldn't use this shit on food, right? But apparently I'm wrong. And then so yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, the article at the end kind of talks. They're pushing the EPA to take an opposite stance on classifying glyphosate, and then I like it to be a carcinogenic. So I don't know, man. It's just it's getting harder to harder, especially with Monsanto and shit. And then yeah, I mean, I don't know. It to me, like I don't want to eat that shit. I don't want chemicals, but hey, man, if you go to McDonald's, who knows what the fuck's in that meat and all that other shit. So
Right.
it's just like you
Yeah,
pick
okay.
your poison sometimes, man. And like in yeah, I just people need to get educated and make those decisions. But yeah, man, like 80%, that's a big percentage.
Alana has a garden here in our backyard, and she recently had a plant. I think it's her lettuce or romaine lettuce or something like that. Plant that was kale. It was her kale plant, and she noticed that it had been the leaves keep getting eaten at. So she was thinking it was birds. So she put like toothpicks to kind of keep birds off of it. And then when she ended up finding out that it's actually caterpillars that
Yep.
are eating it and bugs that are eating her kale up. And so she's telling me about this, and I'm like, yeah. Unfortunately, bugs do eat vegetables. They like it. So I'm like, you're gonna have to spray pesticides on it to keep these bugs from coming there, or something equivalent to that, some kind of natural remedy to kind of keep bugs away. But yeah, I could understand how crop builders. I mean, this is money. So if you have 1,000 crops of corn and half of them get infested and you can't sell it, that's a negative. You're losing money. So you buy these pesticides and you spray everything to keep the bugs off of it, so then you can turn your crops into money. So I get it, man.
I I understand that argument. I want to say though that what you're selling is essentially poisoned at that point. So it's
Right,
there
but they don't
are
care.
yeah, exactly, as long as they sell it. But there's like an ethical dilemma there. You know
And
what I
not in the
mean?
government side, though. According to the article, they classify, they look at it different, and that's the people who or the agencies are just who makes those decisions. That's why they could spray it at you. And I'm with you. Like, uh, we all know it's not good for you. I mean, we all know that. It's just yet to continue to use it on shit that people eat every day.
You know, I bet the politicians that agreed that they could use it, I bet they're not eating that shit though.
No, of course not.
You
Oh
know?
yeah.
So it just goes to show you, man, how fucked up things are. But um, all we can do is learn and make an educated choice. My recommendation is to try to go organic completely, and cut out everything that isn't, just to take the precaution, because we've already ingested years and years of this shit. But now that I'm aware about it, I think I started at the age of 30 eating organic, and I'm hoping that's not too late. I'm hoping that 30 years of that stuff isn't going to cause some issue down the line. I'm going to do my very best to prevent that, but I really feel for the people that don't have that option, where money is tighter and they have to only get what's available. And so I'm hoping that in the future, people either start growing their own garden, or they find local farms that grow organic. I know there's a farm by you, Daniel, so that's
Right.
always an option as well. And maybe you get really chummy with them, and you get really friendly and all that, and then they can give you discounts. I don't know, but there's got to be alternatives. And one other thing I wanted to say is, for Alana's plant, try neem oil. Neem oil helped me when I had my herbal remedy plant over here, um, and it worked. Caterpillars were going crazy on it until I started spraying this stuff, and it kind of died down a little bit.
Well, yeah, I'll have to tell her. You have to text it to me because I have no idea how to spell Nemor or Giacolomosaka, whatever from this article. You're gonna have to text it to me so I can give it to Alana.
But if we
Sounds
get the
good.
Roundup brand, that's the highest quality. But if we get those store brands, who knows? That shit might be even worse.
Well, I buy whichever one's on sale, but usually Roundup is the leader in that.
But yeah, like I said, it's just getting educated, and you gotta make those decisions because everything we eat, uh, even down to when you bathe, like with the shampoos and like uh, soaps, you're just like, you ever read like what's in there? Like, man, is this shit good? I mean, I don't know, but I don't really. Nobody ever talks about like soap has this that causes cancer, but I mean, like, it's like acid this and that, and I'm just like, and then if you get like really organic soap or like natural, like real soap, shit's expensive and it doesn't last as long.
Yeah, I always felt that way about sunscreen, because
Hmm.
doctors will say, like, put on sunscreen, put it on. You go outside, put it on, and then a lot of it, they say put a lot of it, And I'm like, dude, but this is like fucking pure chemicals. Like, I don't know what the hell this is. Like, my doctor told me not to use one of the lotions I got, and you're telling me I got to use a sunscreen though with all these other chemicals? Like, nah, dude. Like, sums up with that. Like, I'll just trust in the melanin my body produces and the tan that I get, that farmer's tan every year, and just trust that's protecting me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like my wife's always like, "Oh, this is old." Like, and it's like soups or like even fucking. We have turkey here that we never opened, and like the 1 pound, like it says March. I'm like, look at this shit. This shit's like all chemicals. This is still, it's not spoiled because we opened the package. It's like, oh, it's just old, but I go, this shit's processed to the. I always tell, it's processed to the bone. It's gonna last forever unless you like expose it to air and shit, which we haven't. Same thing with soups and like everything, anything frozen, it's old. I'm like pizzas and shit. Like this shit's designed to last forever. Like they put so many chemicals in it because they know if you open it up and they're gonna be like, this shit tastes like crap. They're like, well, how can that be? It's frozen and we put a lot of chemicals in there.
Yeah, this
So
lady found a McDonald's was it cheeseburger or something from like 20 years ago that she did an experiment. She left it in her like closet or something, like a shoebox for 20 years. She busted it out, no mold whatsoever. It's obviously dry and brittle and like crumbles in her hand,
hmm
but there's no mold because mold, it just can't eat it. Not even mold could eat that shit.
But we want to thank everybody for listening. It's all the time we got. Let us know what you think if you guys use Roundup or GMO stuff. I mean, I know some people, I mean, maybe they don't know. They buy it, they use it. But, it is what it is. Let us know what you guys' thoughts are on that at ffnquestions@gmail.com. But we want to thank everybody for listening. You can remember, you can follow Freeform Network on Facebook and Twitter under Freeform Network. Send your questions, suggestions, stories, anything you want to talk about at ffnquestions@gmail.com. There's where we like to interact with people or anything. We will share that on the show. Don't forget to check out our webpage, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. There's all our shows. You see our links, the platforms we're on. Everything's on the website. Check it out, man. Let us know what you guys think about that. We're on Stitcher, iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, iHeart or something. I mean, we're on so many I can't keep track. But whatever you do, or whatever platform you use, listen, subscribe, write a comment, let us know. For Freeform Radio, we got Daniel.
Yes, sir. Everybody have a blessed week, and we'll catch you on the next one.
We got Noel.
Everybody, thank you for listening. And as always, focus on your health. There's no replacement for health, and all the money in the world ain't going to get you that. So focus on it while you have it.
And it's all good, Andy. Yeah, man, you guys have a good week. We'll catch you on the next one. And hit us up, man, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. I love chatting with people or mixing it up with them. But you guys have a good week.
That was cool, Dad.